Peace and blessings, beautiful souls. I am Brandi L. Bates, and you are now listening to Power Podcasts. Live and direct on both SoundCloud and brandybates.podomatic.com. You can find me on Twitter at Soledad Francis and on Instagram at Brandi is Winning. Also, please find these podcasts archived on YouTube via the I Am Brandi Bates YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, share with folks you think can benefit from these talks. Today I'm talking about the full blueprint on how to unlock yourself and your full potential from your cellular body down to your electromagnetic body and beyond. How to call forth things, people, events, and situations to work for your greatest good, to move the needle just a little bit further. And I even have some homework for you. I have some homework assignments for you today. But it's good homework, I promise. We are highly complex beings, folks. Essentially, we are walking computer programs, able to program our own reality. We are so much more than the physical flesh, blood, and bone body that you see. Within us is the integration of our physical anatomy, organs, systems, and glands that make up our physical body. But additionally, there is another matrix weaved into our being that cannot be seen. However, it is interacting. It's interacting with the world. It's interacting with other little programs or people, and it's interacting with the master programmer, if you will. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the source code. We all operate with source code. The metaphysical aspect of our life force is the charge to the body's inner and outer workings. So sometimes you things happen in your life and you don't understand why. Why do good people get sick? Why do people with good hearts get murdered? Innocent children. Why do innocent children get abused? Why do things happen the way they do? And I'm saying to you that the metaphysical aspect of our life force is the charge to the body's inner and outer workings and what works in conjunction with our spiritual anatomy. Understand that 96% of your makeup is dormant. The same way in outer space, astronomers call it dark matter. You have your matter, you have your antimatter, you have dark matter. Where they believe that most of space is this void, unrecognizable, dormant energy. Same within the atoms of your body. Your average atom is mainly made up of empty space. Okay? That's just the bare basic explanation I can give. As we understand it, present day. To fully activate our systems, we must understand and overstand how the body-mind matrix interacts with other systems. And the problem is, very few of us understand that dynamic. And so we continue to go through life banging our heads against brick walls and making the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over again in an almost feedback loop. How do the body's meridians or chakras interact and correspond to the Earth's meridians or ley lines. Many of you are familiar with ley lines. If you're not familiar with ley lines, you can Google it. You can look it up. You can research it. You might see it Leylines, or you may see it Laylines, but ley lines. Ley lines are the planet's chakra system, or vortices, or meridians. How crucial it is for you to get adequate sleep in order to restore and repair the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the production of crucial hormones for your healing and ability to create properly in your space-time reality. You have to get enough sleep. I cannot say this enough. You have to get enough sleep, because certain mechanisms only happen during the rapid eye movement sleep, or REM. And if you're never entering into that state because for whatever reason you're going to sleep with the constant blue light coming from your cell phone devices or laptop devices or your plasma screen television or constant noise and music from devices, they're giving off a certain amount of radiation. Okay? It's difficult to enter into that deep, dark REM state that needs to happen so that you can restore and repair crucial hormones and the production of those crucial hormones, as well as the production of certain vitamins and minerals in your body. 96% of who and what you are is not even activated. Most of us are operating at bare minimal potential. Even those of us who are achieving our goals and who are knocking the ball out of the ballpark every night, we're still operating at our bare minimum. In man, the brain is the link between the spirit and the outside world. And so we can know nothing of the outside world except through the medium of the brain. That's why they say, doctors will tell you, if a patient is brain dead, technically it's nothing you can do with them. Physically, they're sitting right there. They look like the person you've always known and recognized. But mentally, they have checked out. They're gone. And you can only survive and exist so long with life support systems, but the brain being dead. The spirit realm is what controls our life force and the way we act and react to the world, and manifest things into our world. That starts in the spirit realm. And I've said it before. I've said it time and time and time again. If you go back and listen to any of my past podcasts, if you read any of my literature, any of my books, I'm always talking about the power of the spirit realm. That is where you find the source code, folks. I've said it before. Your job is not the source. Your job is a resource. And the problem is, a lot of people go looking at their resources expecting the type of results you can only get from your source. And as long as you're in tune with your source, resources can come and go and it will not shake you, because you are still connected to your source. And as long as you're tapped in and tuned into your source code, there's nothing that you cannot create and manifest and bring into reality from the spirit realm. And there's nothing you cannot do. And then you begin to operate on the higher levels of your being instead of just at the bare minimum. Stay with me. Our spiritual anatomy works as an overlay. It's like a director. It's the liaison. It's the bridge to our physical apparatus that we call the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body. Okay? Our thoughts, our emotions, and our mind operating system, or OS, are all a collective part of the whole. And our spirit, or our soul, is the conductor of our total well-being. Okay? And so that's how come when certain things are happening in your life, you have to look at what's going on a soul level or spirit level. understand that your imagination is co-creating your reality. You might understand that, but not realize that you're only operating on 2 to 4% of your potential imagination being tapped at or tuned in to at any given time. So although you may fully understand and grasp, you know what? Even Albert Einstein told us imagination was more important than intelligence. Every great mind has told us this. But we fail to realize that the problem is with that imagination, it's difficult to tap into the full spectrum of your imagination when you're only using 2 to 4% of the potential of that imagination. So for instance, you can only have your imagination is only as strong as your awareness. So in other words, many of you are you're earning $20,000 or $30,000 a year because you don't know how to earn $200,000 or $300,000 a year. Many of you are only your body is a reflection of your awareness. So because you don't know any better, you don't do any better. You don't grow and you don't fine tune your vehicle to the ability it's able to achieve because you're not aware of all of the levels that you are able to reach. Stay with me. You're basically operating your reality like a Lamborghini with the brake mechanism in constant operation. You're driving with the brake up, right? You're like a Ferrari Testarossa with little to no fuel or oil in the engine. And you wonder why you haven't been able to affect change or to bring things from the subtle reality into your waking reality. What do I mean by that? Many of you have had dreams where you've seen yourself, flying, or you've seen yourself in another seeming reality, another world, another country. Some of these dreams can be frightening and some of them can be blissful. And some of us have learned how to pull things from that dream world into our waking world. And others, they just, no matter how hard they try, they just cannot do it. So you have your light body, you have a meridian system, you have what I like to call the gateway, you have your luminous energy field, you have vibrational energy fields, you have your endocrine system, your inner child, the causal body, you have your mental body, your emotional body, and your aura. Oh, and you also have your major chakras, your minor chakras, and ascension chakras. Now, the chakra system, the reason I'm bringing this up, there are 7 major chakras that run from the base of the spine to the top of the head, centered on the spinal column. Your spinal column is crucial. It is Jacob's ladder. Okay? These chakras unite spirit, soul, and body, or mind, body, and soul, in the functioning of physical existence. And there are many more major chakras actually, but they are not physically connected to the spinal column, and they do interact with an individual on many important levels. That's for a whole nother show. The physical body is connected to and dependent upon the etheric body for cellular guidance. Okay? Your physical body, your hands, your breath, the prana, your heartbeat, your brain, the movement of your brain and ability to think and hear and taste and touch and all that. The physical body cannot be maintained without it. And so if the etheric field becomes distorted, which oftentimes it does, right now as you're listening to this, your etheric field is probably all types of fucked up. But If that etheric field becomes distorted, physical disease soon follows. So people think you catch disease. You don't catch disease. You have to be open to receive disease. You have to create, in a sense, you create disease in your body temple. That's why some people can be around flu and they can be around tuberculosis and they can drink water that contains cholera, and they can be bitten by mosquitoes that carry malaria, and yet they don't get sick. And you have people who seem to be strong and they look normal, but they are chronically ill. They're suffering from all types of chronic, debilitating dis-ease in the body temple. They look normal, but in a matter of time, they will begin to disintegrate and emaciate. Body will break down. Many illnesses have their origin in distortions of the supportive etheric field. So that's why, for a lot of those who know me, I'm very well versed on herbs and natural healing, but I had to push away from giving people advice about herbs and natural healing, because what will happen is a lot of times people say, well, what herbs should I take for a stomach ache? Or what herbs should you take for this type of cancerous growth? Or what's a natural holistic way to heal coughing? Well, but the problem is, if you're not restoring all of the other systems into balance, because there's a reason why you're showing symptoms. Symptoms are a message, feedback. Your body is trying to talk to you. So if you just throw herbs at it, or you drink lemon water, or you get alkaline, but you're not restoring all of the other systems, it'll just come out in another way. The symptoms will reflect in another aspect of your life. So you have to get all the systems, the source code. You got to get in tune with the source code and correct that and restore that to balance. And then everything will start to fall into place. The body has everything it needs to heal itself. It is a self-healing, restorative system. You don't need to put virus protection on your system when everything is in balance. The etheric body is composed of matter, but it is of a different density and frequency. So that's why, understand, certain animals can sense the different forms of density and the different frequencies and the different dimensions. You, as a human being, you must operate according to the earth laws. You're bound to the laws of the earth. That's why you can't just jump up and fly, like Superman or Wonder Woman or whatever. You can't just disobey the laws of gravity. But just because you can't see outside of the light spectrum doesn't mean that there aren't things going on in those realms. I call it the spirit realm. Scientists call it other dimensions, or outside of the visible spectrum. Same damn difference. It's the same thing, okay? But it's not completely separated from the physical system, and that's why it's able to interact. You see it in what you know as the electrical world, or Wi-Fi and electricity, the way electricity moves. Sometimes you see it in the weather. Sometimes you see it in the currents. It moves in both current and particle. Okay? Etheric body. The etheric body moves in both particle form and wave form. And the only way you can sense it is through things like electricity, Wi-Fi technology. I'm trying to put it in words that we all understand and that are in our current lexicon. Okay, many of you dealing with chronic disease can benefit from learning about this, okay? Because once you learn about this and learn how to start tapping into that source code, you will heal your body instantaneously overnight. Things that's why some people will say, well, certain diseases, they look different in different people. And the reason behind that, what they don't tell you, is that That is because we all are operating with different operating systems. Some people have a better software running than others. Okay? All right. So many of you don't understand that this etheric body is a body which looks just like your physical body. It's like superimposed over your physical body. Stay with me. The etheric body, though, the etheric body carries information on how, for instance, the developing fetus is to unfold in utero. How does a woman take sperm from a man into her cervix, into her uterus, and create a fetus? How does that happen? Part of it happens because information is coming from the etheric body, and it's telling that fetus how to grow, what its physical features will look like, so forth and so on. The structural data for growth and repair of the adult organism, it's all there. This energetic structure works together with cellular genetic mechanisms. Stay with me. I promise I'm going to pull it together. There are also many minor chakras that overlay our organs, your pancreas, your liver, your spleen, your ovaries or your testes, your systems, your limbic system, endocrine system, skeletal system, and glands like your pineal gland or your adrenal gland to enhance functioning, okay? You have your ascension chakras. Now, there are many chakras to our existence. The chakras that operate outside of the physical body align a person to their higher self. Now we're talking about source code and how to stay the course. The chakras that operate inside of our body mimic the chakras that operate outside of our bodies, but they all align you to your higher self and thus your higher purpose. And how do you know what's linked to your higher self or your higher purpose? Is what you're drawn to. What you're drawn to, what you are attracted to, what you find yourself gravitating towards, outside of what you've been taught, outside of your religion or your ethnicity or your gender or your schooling and education. What the primal instinct, your primal body gravitates towards. That is a link to your higher purpose and your higher self. Now, the aura is the most simplified aspect of your spiritual anatomy. The aura holds patterns, it holds energy, and it holds information. Patterns, energy, and information. Keep that in the back of your mind. The colors, the formation of the aura, they all change with your mood, your experiences, and they can shift. So that's why some psychologists will tell you, if you want to change your psyche, change your physiology. That's why it's very difficult to be depressed when you're standing up straight, sitting up straight, and smiling or laughing. It's very difficult to be mad and angry and upset when you are allowing a lot of oxygen into your lungs, you're doing something physical. So that's why they tell you, if you're having a bad day or you're in a dump, don't just, sit there and cower and mean mug. And no, put a smile on your face, start clapping, start listening to happy music, start running in place, jog in place, do flips, this is what yoga is, okay? The movement of the energy through the body to affect your physiology. So that can all be shifted. You can change that by your mood. That's why it's very crucial and important to keep your mood uplifted, to keep your mind edified. Very important. So understand that in a healed, evolved state, the aura looks like an orb. People talk about orbs that they see in photos, especially if there's a photo of a family member that has passed or transitioned. You'll see orbs a lot of times in the picture. That is letting you know they are in a healed, evolved state. They are totally transformed. The emotional body when balanced is fluid, and it's continually moving and experiencing and propagating present time experiences. And understand that it is magnetic and attractive to the experiences we allow for ourselves. You allow all of the emotional shit that happens in your life. And sometimes, people say, well, I don't attract shit to me. How can I attract a car accident? Easy. Starting with your emotions and your words and what's going on in your source code. What's going on in your software, what's going on in your hardware, and what's going on your central processing unit. The causal body. This is what you use to manifest and bring about change. The causal body. You have the inner child. Now, let me just park here for a second. The inner child is like the magical genius self. Understand, children come here as geniuses. When they come here full of love. Notice children of different ethnicities or different so-called races, they'll just love on everybody. They love animals, they love all people, and they're totally 1000% transparent and honest. They will not lie to you. They have to later learn these things. They learn resentment, they learn to hate, they learn limitation, they learn boundaries, they learn what you can and cannot do within this dimension. A 3-year-old, they don't know that Santa Claus isn't real until you tell them Santa Claus isn't real. Well, first you have to introduce them to the concept of a Santa Claus. They don't know that they cannot touch fire. They do not know that they cannot fly until you introduce them to these limitations and boundaries. But the inner child, that's where the magic starts. And if you can capture some of the imagination and genius of a child, you will begin to unlock and activate all types of shit that heretofore has been closed off to you. The inner child is the key component to actualizing a shift from the third dimensional reality, the world of density, problem, confusion, and noise, into a purposeful, soulful, potentially even a fifth dimensional reality, where you just experience things. Some people experience it through psychotropic drugs, through hallucinogens, through marijuana, through DMT, through LSD, but if you've ever gone on a trip, on a psychological trip, either through drugs or laughing gas at the dentist or what have you, you'll notice that you're experiencing things that everybody else in the room, they're not experiencing, but it is stone cold real to you in your mind. That's coming from that inner child, and that comes from being able to tap into those other dimensions and realities while still simultaneously existing in this reality. The endocrine system, very important. So chakras interact with the physical body through two major vehicles: the endocrine system and the nervous system. Powerful systems. The major glands of the endocrine system include the pineal gland, your pituitary gland, your pancreas, your ovaries or testes, thyroid gland, your parathyroid gland, your hypothalamus, and your adrenal glands. Okay, a lot of people who are walking around obese, you really don't have a weight problem. you have a hormone problem where your glands are overproducing, either not producing enough insulin or producing too much insulin. We call that diabetes. A lot of conditions that we see happening to people are hormonal, but they have you thinking you're eating too much or you're not doing something enough, but really it's your hormones are out of balance. And when you balance those systems, you balance those glands, then things become in balance, and then you start to actually surpass your limitations and move past the boundaries that you've always known, because somebody didn't explain to you your source code. Okay, so when these glands are shot, your whole body mind matrix will be shot. How and what you eat creates a feedback loop as to how your endocrine operating system behaves, because food is chemical. Smell, scent is chemical. That's why they can mimic flavor. You know, they can have potato chips that have the flavor of cheeseburger, or spray for your bathroom that smells exactly like a field of rose bushes or lavender or honeysuckle. It's chemical. Okay, so the luminous energy field reflects how we nourish our dreams and inspires our higher visions in the world. This is our dream body. Now, the meridians are points and channels of the subtle body within the human body. That's where you get the chi, or the prana, the life force energy. Your life force energy is your breath, the prana, where we get the notion of pranayama, focusing on the breathing, deep breathing exercises. That's playing with those channels, opening and closing and moving the chi, the energy. The yogis, the great ancient yogis and the master teachers told us about. There are 12 main meridians in the body that correspond to organs, 12 main organs, systems, and glands. The meridians also correspond to the 5 elements of our planet. So you have your fire, your water, your metal, your air, and earth, which also make up our periodic table. That's all that's in the periodic table. Fire elements, water, metals, air or gases, and earth, right? We even have those natures. This also, each system has 2 polarities, which are yin and yang. So every system has its female and masculine or feminine, the great feminine and the masculine in nature. And it acts like the earth's ley lines in the human body. When you have too much imbalance of the masculine, or too much imbalance of the feminine, or too much yin, not enough yang, too much on one pole than the other, you're going to have imbalance. And wherever you have imbalance, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have pain. You're going to have conflict. They're always the nature of everything on this plane seeks for balance, whether you believe it or not. You have to have that balance. The light body is part of your evolutionary body, and it's the combination of basically your sacred geometric form, your psychic and etheric spiritual anatomy, and the advancement of your consciousness without density. Because how many of you know when you sleep and when you go to sleep and you dream, you no longer have density. You're no longer bound to earthbound rules. You can fly in your dreams. You can go to other planets in your dreams. In your dream, you might fall off a mountain or fall off a cliff and wake up and, unscathed, unfazed, right? This is your vehicle, your Merkaba. When you go to sleep, where do you go? I'm saying to you, when you go to sleep, that where you go, how you travel, how you move, that vehicle is your Merkaba. The gateway. Now we get into the meat of the matter. 96% of your DNA is dormant. Just understand that. And how do I know this? Because you're listening to this. Because you were drawn to this. Because you can't do all of the things that in your mind you see yourself doing it, you would like to do it, you have grand visions, you have your higher visions, your higher self has ideas and goals and aspirations and things that you want to do, but you haven't been able to do them because of limitations. That is because 96% of your DNA is dormant and your body-mind matrix is running a certain software program. You have information laying around dormant, waiting for you to tap into it. Just waiting. In the Saturn revolution of the Earth, there was a period of time. We call it the Saturn revolution. You may not be familiar with it. You may be familiar with it. I don't know. But the dense body that we have, your meat suit, was given the ability to form a brain and become a vehicle for the germ of mind, which was to be added later, right? And the impulse was given to building the frontal part of the brain. And the brain and the nervous systems are the highest expression of the desire body. And they call up pictures of the outside world. But in mental image making, the blood brings the materials for the pictures. Therefore, when thought is active, the blood flows to the head. And many important cosmological communications have occurred over the last quarter of a century. And, this involves messages coded to reach the public conscious, either originating or vibrating with many strategic stargates. So understand, it's not a coincidence the movies you see. It's not a coincidence why we see certain themes. Why do you think they keep remaking different versions of Snow White? They keep remaking different versions of Little Red Riding Hood or Beauty and the Beast or Superman. How many more Supermans do we have to see? They keep remaking the archetype of Batman. For many, many, many years, we've seen this, right? And before that, you had your myths. You had your, you have your Osset, Osiris, and Isis, and you had, your religious myths. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You have the various myths about the serpent. Why do you think you keep seeing this no matter what era, generation, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what religion, no matter what language, no matter what culture? You see these same mythos, you see these same archetypes, you see these same stories, because these are cosmological communications or upgrades. Just like every couple of weeks or every couple of months, your phone, your devices will say you're due for an upgrade. And this has happened throughout the history of humanity. And these are coded messages. Some of them are in our so-called sacred holy books, or we see it in Hollywood or Hollywood. We hear it in our music. The legend of the great heroic legends. Always movies and stories and books about a hero who has to go through journeys and pitfalls and, mountains and valleys, and then they ultimately win or whatever. The legend of Mario Brothers. We're constantly getting these coded messages. I mentioned stargates. For instance, in the Middle East, the great ancient ziggurat portal of Ur, or Mesopotamia, or Sumer, modern day Iraq, Baghdad. All the constant turmoil in that region. Historically, you've seen constant turmoil in the so-called Middle East, in Baghdad, in Jerusalem, in Palestine, or what you call Israel, in northern what we know now as Northern Africa and Morocco and Egypt and even in Ethiopia, is because there are certain stargates in that region, in those regions, linked to the vortices, or as I mentioned earlier, the meridians and chakra systems of the planet. And so just like I was saying earlier, how if certain shit is thrown out of balance within your aura or your chakras or your body's meridians, you're going to bring about imbalance, you're going to bring about disease, you're going to bring about sickness, you're going to bring about all types of shit that'll happen and play itself out in your reality. But it's emanating from the source code. What's going on in the software, what's going on in the hardware, what's going on in what you're downloading. So just like you can download shit onto your computer that can corrupt your computer, put viruses on your computer. Well, you can download certain information that can corrupt your system. And in fact, a lot of you are operating with corrupted software. But the earth contains various entrances. And take this with you. The earth contains various entrances to the center of the earth, to the center of the planet. And in other places, natural wormholes have been located that have served as portals or gates entering and exiting the earth. And I'm not talking about just the physical planet as we know it. I'm talking about on a whole nother dimension. So that's where you see we're starting to have the conversation about singularity and artificial intelligence and what we see happening with the D-Wave computer and the Mandela effect. And we see how science is trying to reconcile astrophysics and quantum physics, quantum mechanics, wormholes. These are just stargates. And our ancestors knew about them. And so now you have people who are trying to get us to become not just trans-dimensional, but interspatial, and be able to travel outside of this plane or this planet and no longer be bound to the rules and the laws of Earth, such as gravity. So that's, going off into the deep end, but it all starts with the source code. In other places, natural wormholes have been located that have served as portals or gates, such as the 33rd parallel. The 33rd parallel, located 33 degrees longitude on the planet, has been the main spot of esoteric activity throughout history, throughout humanity. The Roswell crash was mapped on the 33rd parallel. Nazareth is on the 33rd parallel. Nagasaki is on the 33rd parallel. Babylon in modern day Iraq is on the 33rd parallel. The no-fly zone for Baghdad was on the 33rd parallel. Sidon, the seat of the time on earth, the temples of Baal, are located on the 33rd parallel. So all your sorcerers, who run the Vatican, and your sorcerers who run the world's monetary system, who they worship, is located on the 33rd parallel. The White House is on the 33rd parallel. The Twin Towers fell exactly 33 years after their groundbreaking ceremony in 1966. So understand, we all have the same exact 24 hours per day, but some of us are far more efficient and effective with that time because we are either using a much better operating system and or are using more efficient software. Everything you read, everything you eat, remember I said everything you eat is chemical. That's why it's crucial to eat whole foods, because they're closer in nature to what the source code needs to be fed on. Everything you read, everything you eat, everything you listen to, the music, the vibrational frequency of the music you're listening to, of the television programming you're watching, or what you're downloading, what you are watching as it's live streaming. We're seeing more of that now, right? And everything you meditate on, what you focus on, what you hone in, because just by you giving attention to it, it changes the nature of whatever it is that you're giving attention to, is a form of operating system updates. And you also get cosmic downloads constantly, but you must upgrade your biocomputer first. One of the reasons why we fail is because we don't understand the source code, or because we never finish what we start. A lot of us, we don't know how to interact with other people. We think it's all about us, but you don't understand, while you're thinking it's all about you, the next man is thinking it's all about him. You know, women think it's all about women. Men think it's all about men. Christians think it's all about Christians. Muslims think it's all about Muslims. Black people think it's all about black people, right? Capitalists think everything is about capitalism. And so what happens is we tune out all the information we need to be more efficient with that source code. For some of us, as soon as things get tough, we bail out. And we don't understand and know how to stay the course. Staying the course means understanding the course, learning the course, learning how to breathe and how to operate and maneuver the course. They tell you in running, because I'm a runner, and once I started training for my first 5K and learning how to really run a race, they tell you the two main things you need to run and finish a race is you need oxygen and you need energy. You need to have the stamina and endurance, and you have to know how to effectively use your breath. Goes back to the prana. A seed hidden in the heart of an apple is an orchard invisible. I'm going to say that again. A seed hidden in the heart of an apple is an orchard invisible. You have so much potential within you. A seed hidden within you is an empire invisible. The genetic material is there. The information is there. The DNA is there. It's dormant. And you have to tap into the source code to activate it. To activate your pineal gland. To activate your third eye. To activate your DNA. There is a kingdom within. I want you to go back, and this is where your homework assignment comes in. Go back and watch the movie if you've already seen it. If you haven't, I want you to watch these movies. Either get them on Redbox or Netflix or Yahoo. What is it? Amazon movies. But go back and watch the movie Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman. That deals directly with what I'm talking about today. Watch Avatar. Go back and really watch it. Get your hands on Black Swan. It came out, flash in the pan, and then I haven't seen it or heard much more about it, but so many deep truths in that movie. Doctor Strange, huge one. So you got Lucy, Avatar, Black Swan, Doctor Strange. Life of Pi is another good one. Transcendence is a major one with Johnny Depp. Really deals with what we're about to see happening more and more and more. the ability to download your whole consciousness. In the future, we'll be able to download our reality. And so when people die, essentially they'll still be alive because their consciousness will be uploaded to a mainframe. Go back and watch Limitless, because that's what happens when you fully activate that DNA and tap in and tune in to the source code. You remove all of the barriers, all of the boundaries, and all of the limitations. They live. That's a great one. Pan's Labyrinth is huge. Kind of scary, kind of spooky, but deep truths, deep metaphysical truths in this movie. The whole entire Lord of the Rings franchise. Vanilla Sky is another deep one. But Vanilla Sky is like eyes wide shut. Deep, but you have to watch it a few times. I don't want to give you the cues because then I'll spoil it. I don't do spoiler alerts. The Matrix, the first Matrix. The second and third one is some truth in there, but it starts getting kind of, they're trying to just monetize the hell out of that franchise. But the first one is where it's at, particularly with the Oracle and Morpheus, the Greek god of the dream world. The Truman Show, Clockwork Orange is another huge one. Oldie, but very, very much a goodie. And Prometheus. Strong source code messaging in that movie. So, understand technology dictates our lives in one way or another. It will continue to operate in that way. And you have to look at the macrocosmos and the microcosmos of your body and mind as a computer system. Technology has symbiotic power over us, meaning you can't do anything without it. If power was to go out, you couldn't do your work. If you weren't able to use internet and you weren't able to tap into your electricity, you will essentially be powerless in what you do on a day-to-day. So you have to begin to scratch the surface of all the source code and how it works, how it relates to what you manifest in your reality. And so I want to thank you for listening. Please have a wonderful, amazing rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace.